We talked a little bit last time about shame, and something that can often be a huge source of shame for language learners is procrastination. If you procrastinate, you are a terrible language learner because you should be learning your language. And then spiral, you feel awful, but you still procrastinate. Well, we're going to talk about procrastination today, and actually why it's not necessarily as bad and evil and awful as you might think. But before we get started, I would love to invite you to Grace and Space, which is an online event for language learners who want to learn languages better but are bored and tired of the hacks. There will be 4 brand new sessions on the topics of expectations, seasons, shame, and distractions. And as well as that, you get an entire week of support with me. Everything at this year's event is completely asynchronous, so you don't need to worry about time zone translation or staying up to the middle of the night. You just get the sessions, you get to enjoy them at a time that suits you and still get support with me for the entire week. The link to join is in the description. Tickets are just $35 US. I would love to see you there. All right, let's get back to it. As it stands then, your view might be that procrastination is something that only lazy or unproductive or bad language learners do. And this means that when you find yourself procrastinating, it can feel like you're not cut out to learn languages. And that kind of sucks because it's not true. I like words, you probably like words, so we'll start with some etymology. Procrastinate comes from Latin, with pro meaning forward or forth, and crastinate meaning tomorrow. So when we procrastinate, we're moving things to tomorrow. And the regularly understood meaning kind of correlates with this. We're putting stuff off, we're postponing, we're doing other things instead. And it's not just you. Some studies into procrastination in school and university settings have found that up to 70% of students admit to procrastinating. Admit, which means there's probably more. And as you might expect, a lot of studies have found out that procrastinating learners typically do worse than habitual learners. Nothing overly surprising here so far, but there's a silver lining here, or actually a couple. Procrastination boosts creativity. Language learning cannot be crammed into your brain like an overpacked suitcase. You need some time to mull things over, to let words digest. Procrastination can serve as that time. And I know you probably don't believe me just yet, so here's something to back me up. A study on procrastination by Shin and Grant from 2021 found some really interesting insights on this. They gave participants a task to come up with a business plan for a student entrepreneur who just won $10,000. They also left some procrastination bait, if you will. Some Jimmy Kimmel mean tweets videos in amongst the bio of this student entrepreneur they had to come up with the business plan for. They claimed that his brother came up with this mean tweet segment and linked to a few of the videos. And what they found was this U-curve result. When people were considered to have low or high procrastination levels, their ideas were about as creative as each other. But in that sweet spot in the middle of moderate procrastination, creativity was boosted. Their ideas were much more creative. But why does this matter for language learners? Because it shows us that procrastination isn't evil, isn't all bad, and there's actually a sweet spot of procrastination that can lead to us having more creative output. And this is really important because one of the crucial things that so many language learners miss and don't do enough of is that output. It's speaking and it's writing practice. And this speaking and writing practice that we typically need to do more of is way more fun when it's creative. We can take a writing or a speaking prompt like I give you in Promptly, and you can use this in a whole range of ways rather than just one very rigid method that you think this is how I will respond to this prompt. No, when you've got that creativity around it, endless ideas. Procrastination hates deadlines. We can likely all relate to that short-term procrastination that we have when there's a deadline coming up. Maybe you leave ordering a new passport until the very last day you can for guaranteed delivery so that it will arrive in time for your trip. You hold off from writing that essay until the final night before it's due. Or perhaps you're someone that can keep hitting snooze until you know, yep, now is the one, I'm getting up, I've got a few minutes, but I'm gonna be out of the door on time. All of these short-term procrastinations can still have the result that you wanted because of that deadline. But when it comes to more long-term goals, procrastination is harder to deal with sometimes. Because when we're talking about longer-term procrastination, it's typically because the deadlines aren't as visible or as close. And language learning is a huge one here because we don't finish learning a language. It just keeps going. We can always learn more. And that means it's really easy to procrastinate if we don't set ourselves some kind of deadline. And what this usually looks like is goals along the way and milestones, and not just having one big end goal that is always really far away. Setting goals and milestones turns your long-term procrastination into short-term procrastination, which means you're much more likely to get stuff done and keep moving forward and keep learning that language. Procrastination loves multilingualism. Your procrastination time could actually be useful, passive, and/or incidental learning, maybe without you even actively trying. I'm thinking about things like watching films, listening to music, maybe scrolling social media language-specific accounts. Not only that, but it could prove as a beneficial brain break between studying different languages. In my experience, I've always found having some kind of light activity in between studying chunks of different languages to be a really beneficial bridge between those study sessions. Although it does have to be said, this has gotten easier with time for me, and there's research to back this up too. There's plenty of research that has found that bilingual and multilingual speakers are really good task switchers, as well as good language switchers too. So over time, this will become less and less of a problem, a nice little side effect of multilingualism. Procrastination lets language solidify. And finally, and we'll talk more about this at Grace and Space, that little sweet spot in the U-curve of moderate procrastination could be just what you need to let your languages percolate and solidify. I used to feel really annoyed when I would lose my app streak on holiday or miss my studying for a week or months at a time when big life stuff is happening. But now, I actually look forward to those moments because I know that a break is a good thing. Procrastination, distractions, taking a break can all help the language that you've learned seep into your long-term memory. And it sounds counterintuitive, right? That's why so many people keep an endless app streak even when they can't say hello. Because surely to learn, you have to, well, learn, right? And yeah, of course you do. But breaks and procrastination are really important too, because what they give you, when done right, is the chance to reduce your cognitive load. So you're not just cramming and painfully trying to put more into your head, you're actively giving space to allow stuff to be learnt before you learn something new. And procrastination can be that time. At Grace and Space this year, I'm teaching an entire session on distractions and how to learn languages even when you get distracted. We're going to dig into a bit more of the science on this. We're going to talk more about why this is beneficial, but also, and most importantly, how this works and how you can use this knowledge to learn languages better. And that is just one of the 4 brand new topics I'll be sharing with you on expectations and seasons and shame and distractions. Plus, as well as those 4 brand new sessions, your ticket gets you access to an entire week of group support, completely asynchronous. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to open a group chat on Voxer. Voxer is like WhatsApp, but without the distraction of 17 different group chats and, having to give out your phone number to strangers. And with Voxer, we can send text message, voice notes, images, and short video clips and links and all of the stuff that you might want to share to get your questions answered, to learn more from others on these topics, and to share your insights as you go through the sessions. That's going to be happening for an entire week. That alone is worth way more than the $35 that you'll pay for your Grace and Space ticket. Oh, so excited to bring this to you for the first time. That plus the 4 sessions, that is Grace and Space this year. None of it is happening like at one set time. You don't need to translate time zones. The sessions aren't live. They'll be given to you pre-recorded so you can access them and watch them and catch up when suits you best without that feeling of FOMO because you can't join live, right? You don't need to stay up to the middle of the night. You can watch them at a sensible hour. So Grace and Space, I very much look forward to seeing you there. The link to get your ticket is in the description below. You can find details on the date and all of that stuff, when it will be happening. And yeah, I'll see you there. If you have any questions before, do let me know in the comments, or you can email me as well. More than happy to answer. And I will see you very soon. Subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you at Grace in Space. Thank you. Bye.